Hi everyone, it's Tasman and today I'm going to be sharing with you my Penguin Clothbound Classics books. With my last video similar to this where I showed you my Penguin English Library Classics, I read the blurbs off the back, but these don't have blurbs on the back, so I'm going to be reading the blurbs from Goodreads instead. But before I jump into them, because I don't have enough of this other edition, I thought I'd throw these in at the very beginning. I want to show you my two books that I have in the Penguin Leatherbound Classics editions. So they are Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. On the front it says, "You have been in every line I have ever read." And on the back it says, "I saw that the bride within the bridal dress had withered like the dress and like the flowers, and had no brightness left but the brightness of her sunken eyes." I read this when I was in school. I was quite young, maybe like 15 or something. We read it for English and I loved it to pieces. So I asked for a nice edition of it because I didn't have my own one. Humble orphan Pip is apprenticed to the dirty work of the forge, but dares to dream of becoming a gentleman. And one day, under sudden and enigmatic circumstances, he finds himself in possession of great expectations. Next, I have a book that I haven't read the whole way through. When I was in primary school, I read a children's abridged version of it, and it is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is one of my favourite classical stories, but of course I can't say it's my favourite book because I haven't read it yet. But one day I will. I swear to God, I will get to this soon. On the front, it has possibly my favourite quote from the book. "I am no bird and no net ensnares me. I am a free human being with an independent will." And another brilliant quote on the back. It says, "Do you think because I am poor, obscure, plain and little, I am soulless and heartless? You think wrong. I have as much soul as you, and as full a heart." Nope, and full as much heart, sorry. Orphaned as a child, Jane has felt an outcast her whole young life. Her courage is tested once again, and she arrives at Thornfield Hall, where she has been hired by the brooding, proud Edward Rochester to care for his ward Adele. Jane finds herself drawn into his troubled yet kind spirit, but there is a terrifying secret inside the gloomy, forbidding Thornfield Hall. The first of my Clothbound classics that I'm going to show you is also Jane Eyre, so because I just read the blurb, I'm obviously not going to be reading it twice, but yes, this is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Next up, I have Gullivers Travels by Jonathan Swift, which, as you would have seen in my previous video about Penguin English Library Classics, I also have it in that, which I didn't realise, I swear to God, I didn't realise I had it twice. Shipwrecked and cast adrift, Lemuel Gulliver wakes to find himself on Lilliput, an island inhabited by little people, whose height makes their quarrels over fashion and fame seem ridiculous. His subsequent encounters with the crude giants of Brobdingnag, the philosophical Humans, and the brutish Yahoos give Gulliver new bitter insights into human behaviour. Sweet Jesus, that's gonna be hard. Next, I have Dracula by Bram Stoker. I bought this when some of the younger years at my school, I believe like years 9, 10 and 11, were putting on a play of Dracula, and I realised that I didn't know the actual original story. I'd only seen like kids' adaptations and stuff. There was a TV show when I was little called Young Dracula, which followed Dracula's son, Vlad, and it was brilliant. So this is the actual book. I actually can't find on Goodreads a proper blurb of Dracula. The book description bit isn't the actual plot, but basically it's one of the original vampire stories. It isn't the original, as a lot of people seem to think. Now this one is possibly the one I'm most excited to get to out of all of these, and that is Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. Oh, in the previous video, the one that I wanted to get to most was Tess of the D'Urbervilles, also by Thomas Hardy. Huh! I don't know if I like his writing style, I really hope so. Independent and spirited Bathsheba Everdeen has come to Weatherbury to take up her position as a farmer on the largest estate in the area. Her bold presence draws three very different suitors: the gentleman farmer Boldwood, soldier seducer Sergeant Troy, and the devoted shepherd Gabriel Oak. Each, in contrasting ways, unsettles her decisions and complicates her life, and tragedy ensues, threatening the stability of the whole community. Next, I have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which I have read, which might be the only one out of all of these that I have read. I got this for school. This was probably actually my first book in this edition that I got. Everybody knows the story of Frankenstein, so I'll only say a few things about this. Frankenstein is the name of the man that created the monster. The monster is just called the monster. Next one is a mammoth of a beast, and that is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I absolutely fell in love with the 2015 BBC adaptation of Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. It has some of my favourite actors in it. There's Lily James, James Norton, Jack Lowden. Love them, are two pieces. War and Peace broadly focuses on Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812 and follows three of the most well-known characters in literature. Pierre Bezukhov, the illegitimate son of a count who is fighting for his inheritance and yearning for spiritual fulfillment. Prince Andrei Bolkonsky, who leaves his family behind to fight in the war against Napoleon. And Natasha Rostov, the beautiful young daughter of a nobleman who intrigues both men. Next up, I have Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe, which I know absolutely nothing about. Crusoe set sail for the Queen's Dock in Hull on a sea voyage in August 1651 against the wishes of his parents, who want him to pursue a career, possibly in law. After a tumultuous journey where his ship is wrecked in a storm, his lust for the sea remains so strong that he sets out to sea again. The next one I have here is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Now, since I got this, I discovered that this is the second book in a series of some kind, so I'm not going to be reading a description or blurb because it's book 2, and I don't know if they're kind of companion books or what, but I don't want to do any spoiling. Now, this next book is Emma by Jane Austen. Beautiful, clever, rich, and single, Emma Woodhouse is perfectly content with her life and sees no need for either love or marriage. Nothing, however, delights her more than interfering in the romantic lives of others. But when she ignores the warnings of her good friend Mr. Knightley and attempts to arrange a suitable match for her protégée Harriet Smith, her carefully laid plan soon unravels and has consequences that she never expected. Up next on the stack of books is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Okay, so basically there's this kid called Jim and he goes on an adventure for treasure. This is a very spoilery description, Goodreads, come on. Next is The Jungle Books by Rudyard Kipling. This has the first 2 books. So, you know Mowgli, he's book 1 and then book 2, I believe, follows some other people. Okay, so the description on Goodreads for The Jungle Book is The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. Helpful. Oh, okay, and the second book features 5 stories about Mowgli and 3 unrelated stories, all but one set in India, most of which Kipling wrote while living in Vermont. So this here is the first Jungle Book, and this here is the second Jungle Book. And finally, my darlings, we have one that I've clearly been meaning to read for a long time because some of the patterns on the front are starting to rub off. And that is Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I do not know how to pronounce these. There was a movie of this starring Mia Wasikowska, which is why I wanted to read it, and I never got round to it. Same with Far From the Madding Crowd. There was a movie coming out of it starring Carey Mulligan, which is why I bought it, and of course never read it and therefore never watched the film, so I'm doing good. Madame Bovary is the debut novel of French writer Gustave Flaubert. The character lives beyond her means in order to escape the banalities and emptiness of provincial life. No, this isn't. I don't know, it's about a woman called Madame Bovary. This doesn't help at all. That's all for today. I hope you liked it. I need to go and do some work now because it's late and I haven't done anything all day. But yeah, thank you for watching and I will see you soon with a new video. That's Jessie the Reader's outro. Oops. My social media is down below as always, and thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.